All right, welcome to this first video. Okay, Unit 3 is like 47 concepts, questions long. I'm going to probably just chunk it into tens. Now, I will also say, like, as you're watching these videos and writing this down, perhaps, like, as soon as I start talking about it, maybe make a note of, like, the timestamp. Like, oh, this was, concept 3 was 4 minutes and 17 seconds into the video. That way, if you ever need to go back, it might be a little bit easier to find. Let's view the entire page. Let's make things easy. Okay, so polynomials, they have like three things about them. If they ask for the degree, as you kind of go throughout this, it's the highest exponent, whatever it is. It is very possible for the exponent not to be in the very front, but you're looking for the highest one, no matter where it is. Terms are separated by plus, so this one would have a degree of 4. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction signs. So something plus something minus something minus something plus something. Every time I said something, that's a term. So this one has 5 terms. Coefficients are the numbers sitting in front of all the variables. So 3, x to the 4th, 2, x to the 3rd, -7, x squared, -4, and 9 is technically a coefficient even though it doesn't have a variable with it. So that's concept number 1. Concept number 2, we're going to be doing a lot of factoring. I will say this, on this channel, the Algebra 2 playlist has some FOIL and factor videos, like at the very, very beginning of the Algebra 2 playlist. It may be a good idea to kind of check those out also and get those in your head. But I will say this, a lot of times with multiple choice, if you know how to FOIL, then you can just FOIL all the answers and see which one matches. But the two numbers sitting here and here, they need to multiply to this C term here and then add or subtract to the B term. So if you list all the factors of the C term, that's usually the best place to start. And then once you find out which one gives you the B term when you combine them, that's concept number 2. Concept number 3, this is just kind of the order of like how we need to start. How we need to start factoring. First, you need to look for any kind of greatest common factor in each term. Like, oh, you know what? All of these are divisible by 3, or all of them have an extra y that's in there. Then factor out the common factor. That's step 2. And then 3 is then factor the simplified trinomial, similar to what we have there. And then 4, 5, and 6 are the steps that you've already seen. Factoring a negative trinomial, I will say if you have a negative in the very, very front, pull out a -1. You can see it changes all the signs, and then you could FOIL the multiple choice answers from here or whatever, or factor it, the real way or whatnot. But yeah, take out the -1. And then, so if you FOIL and you don't put in the -1, you should FOIL to get this, and then distribute a -1 in and make sure you get back to the beginning. Concept 5, the expression is a factorization of blah, 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 blah. This is a broken down version of one of your answers. So we're going backwards. So this is FOIL. First terms, outside terms, inside terms, last terms, you're going to multiply and then combine like terms. Featuring that's concept number 5. Concept 6, another special case in concept 7. When you're missing your B term, like if I go kind of back here, there we go. We don't have bx. We have something x squared and we have a number, but we don't have a b. So that just means as long as this is subtraction, difference meaning subtract, and x squared breaks down, x times x, and 64 breaks down, 8 times 8. If they don't break down perfectly even, you can't do it. But when they can, or after you take out a common factor perhaps, one gets a positive, one gets a negative, because if you FOIL these, you'd get an 8x and -8x in the middle. More special cases. So the difference of squares, when you FOIL these, whatever your a value is, you square it. Whatever your b value is, you square it, and then you put a subtraction sign in the middle. With perfect squares, A plus B, and it's got this. Well, if you remember, something squared just means two of the same thing. So you could separate them and then FOIL, but you know that it's going to be A squared in front, B squared in back, and then you do A times B times 2 in the middle. So 3x, 3 squared is 9, x squared is x. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. And then you do, and then 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, times 2 is negative 30. And you can always FOIL the answers and kind of, as long as you have this, you can put them side by side and FOIL them if you want. That was actually a couple different concepts, doing perfect squares and difference of squares. Equation written here. Basically, it's just our job to get everything on one side equals 0, combine like terms. So distribute something like this, 2 gets squared and x gets squared. Then you're just, I would leave, it says make one side equal 0, keep x squared positive. So I could have moved that to the other side, but because I kind of want that 4 to stay positive, I'm going to move the 6x over. I'm going to move the negative 18 over. This combines, but the 6x doesn't. So that's how we get our answer. And the last one for this video, what are the solutions? Well, they're going to give you, some solutions, and then honestly, you could just plug into the two x values. Make sure you use parentheses, especially when it's negative, because, 9 squared, like when you plug it in and hit enter, it should equal 0. Like you won't be putting equals 0 in the calculator. You'll be putting all this, enter, and see if it equals 0. This one does not. These two do. So you got to find the two that make it a true statement. Please use your calculator on this. Please ask questions. Please double check. We want to do well on this particular pretest. So that's the first video. Not too crazy.